hour long, my yeah. And Wanda is still reeling from the events of the night before. We are reintroduced to this world via a modern family / The Office style sitcom setup, complete with talking head interviews. I actually found these scenes with Wanda this episode really great. We're seeing her in a state of depression and anxiety, framed through the lens of Modern Family, and it creates this uneasy atmosphere as we are reminded that this entire series is a coping mechanism for Wanda to deal with her grief and depression. We begin to see things in the Hex are fluctuating through different periods of time, as it appears as if Wanda's unstable behavior is making the world itself unstable. Billy tells Wanda that his head hurts and that it is very noisy, as he is picking up on all of the people in Westview. We get an opening that is very much reminiscent of The Office, maybe even a little bit of Happy Endings as well. What I found interesting is that if you freeze the opening, you see this frame that says, "I know what you were doing, Wanda." Outside the Hex, we see the scummy acting director Hayward has established a temporary sword retreat base 8 miles outside of Westview. We learn that the broadcast from inside has stopped as he tells everyone to be prepared because they launch today. Vision wakes up in the same spot we left him last episode, and he sees the sword circus as he meets up with Darcy, and after some sitcom shenanigans, he's able to reawaken her. While I do find these two really entertaining together, I feel like these scenes really slowed down the episode and made it feel more like filler than anything else. Billy and Tommy want to look for Vision, whereas Wanda tells them if he wants to be gone, let him stay gone. They also question her about what Uncle P said on Halloween, and she exclaims that that man is not her brother. She has a scary real talk with her children, and it is very clear she is not okay. And guess who is there for her in her time of need? Agnes. Agnes takes the twins to give Wanda some mental health time. Back with my favorite magician, Jimmy Woo, and Monica Rambeau, as Jimmy receives the information on Project Cataract from Darcy. We learn that Hayward was not decommissioning Vision, but attempting to rebuild or reverse engineer him to create sentient weapons. Duh. The plot for Darcy and Vision is basically that they head for his home in a funnel cake car as she fills Vision in on his past and on everything Wanda's had to endure since he's been dead, and he's very empathetic of her and wants to help his family. However, someone keeps putting red lights and other roadblocks in their way to prolong their arrival. Vision suspects that it is Wanda that is doing this when he has the brilliant revelation that he is a superpowered being with the ability to phase through objects and frickin' fly, and he flies to his house. Wanda's home continues to glitch as she continues to feel like she's losing control. Her talking head interviews continue to show her mental health is worsening as a person behind the camera asks her, "Do you think this is what you deserve?" Wanda's sanctuary, her escape, is even beginning to pile on her doubt, depression, and grief that she already is feeling. Which brings us to our commercial of this episode, which is fittingly for an antidepressant medication called Nexus. Now, if each commercial represents a past trauma of Wanda, I feel like this commercial is a trauma we have yet to see. I feel like Wanda was in a state of depression and grief after Vision passed away, and she went to seek help. And let's just say Agatha Harkness, posing as a psychiatrist, gained Wanda's trust and manipulated her into creating the Hex, and that is why Wanda trusts this person in the Hex reality. Cough, Agnes. Also, comic-wise, the Nexus is potentially referring to the Nexus of all realities, which is a cross-dimensional gateway that provides a pathway to any and all possible realities. It's the one place in the entire multiverse where all realities naturally intersect. Now, Wanda, in the comics, is also a Nexus being. These beings, each referred to as a Nexus, act as keystones of the multiverse and are crucial to its ultimate coherence and stability. I feel like Wanda in the MCU is also going to be a Nexus being. Nexus beings in the comics are also heavily monitored by the Time Variance Authority, and as we know from the Loki trailer, they're going to be a heavy plot point in the Loki series, so it only makes sense that this is going to be relevant somewhere down the line in the MCU. Back with the twins, Billy says he really likes at Agnes's house. She is quiet on the inside. That's very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Monica suits up and prepares to enter the breach in the vehicle she requested, a top-of-the-line custom sword space rover. The rover is unable to enter the breach, and Monica decides to just run back in unprotected. Now, in a very powerful scene, Monica, fueled by moments from her past and her own grief, pushed forward through a literal wall of Wanda's grief and depression. She physically and emotionally pushes through the pain to make it to the other side, and is rewarded and reborn with the full manifestation of her abilities as she rushes to Wanda. I would like to note that the undersuit that she's wearing under her astronaut outfit is also extremely similar to some of her suits from the comics, especially the color scheme. Now, when Monica makes it to Wanda's house, she attempts to break through to her, but Wanda attacks, and we start to see some of Monica's abilities manifest as she's able to completely withstand the blow. And all of this occurs on the outside of the house as Dottie and Dennis the mailman see the confrontation, as well as Agnes. Good neighbor Agnes comes to Wanda's aid and takes her back to her home. Wanda asks where the twins are, and Agnes says they're in the basement. When Wanda goes to investigate, we discover a literal witch's lair, and Agnes reveals, to the surprise of no one, that she is indeed Agatha Harkness. We do get this fun theme song that is obviously a play on the Munsters theme song, and it shows that Agatha has been pulling the strings all along, and that she has been the director of the show, as she puts Wanda back under her control. Now, what is pretty fun is that the title card of this episode said that it was created by Wanda Maximoff, but then we see Agatha Harkness in a director's chair. See, now I really actually love the Agatha reveal. Even though we all saw it coming, I really appreciated how nonchalant and silly the whole thing was. Now, a couple of things firsthand. Donnie is sus, and Dennis is super sus. Dennis is wearing a shirt that says Presto on it. Is it possible Dennis and Dottie are part of the MCU version of New Salem and are connected to Agatha? Secondly, there are a lot of references to Mephisto. There's a cicada, which is heavily featured at the end in Agnes's house and in the lair. In the comics, Mephisto first appears as a fly. There's also demonic and satanic faces on the pillars in Agnes's basement. Now, I think it is possible we still may get a Mephisto reveal, and I would love to see something super crazy happen, like Al Pacino play him, even in a small cameo. However, I do find the book in Agatha's lair interesting. It is possible that this is a version of the Darkhold, and that Agnes may in fact be trying to summon the demon Chthon, who is a demonic elder god and the Earth's first practitioner of black magic, who wrote all the spells on indestructible parchment, which later became the Darkhold. The Darkhold also acts as a potential gateway for Chthon to re-enter our universe after being banished away. He has possessed many characters in the comics, with two of the most prominent ones being Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. Now, we have the who with the Agatha reveal, but I think the most important question we should be asking now is why? Why is Agatha doing this? While either of the two demons I mentioned previously could be possibilities, I'd also like to throw in, but this could also potentially lead us into Nightmare, which is another demon in Marvel Comics lore. Now, Nightmare was heavily suggested to be the villain in Doctor Strange 2, and Agatha could potentially succeed by the end of the series in summoning him, and that could lead us directly into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We get our first after mid-credit scene as we see Monica about to enter Agnes's basement. We learn that she can see Agatha's magic using her spectrum abilities, and is caught off guard by Pietro. The scene ends with her eyes facing him as she is shocked. See, now I think that this is actually intentional misdirection. We're supposed to believe that Monica sees his true form, but I think what she actually sees is that there's nothing off about him, and that he's real. Yes, I now believe that this is in fact Peter Maximoff from the Fox X-Men universe. Agatha, who we know is unable to raise the dead, accessed the Nexus through Wanda and pulled in a Quicksilver from another universe, and this is going to be one of the big reveals in the next couple of episodes. Now, while this episode did seem heavy with filler, I think that was intentional to lower the expectations of the fan base, who have been speculating like crazy ever since episode 1. And I actually think that we're going to get some heavy stuff in the next few episodes. But only 2 of them left, and the dominoes falling into place, only time will tell what's true and what isn't. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video, and until next time, catch you later, guys.